I think Tawny Katane
Oh,
deserves a lot of credit for the explosion of popularity of the 87 album.
I think that Slowpoke Music contains one of the best riffs of their entire catalog.
He gets fired before he can even appear in any of the fucking videos?
How did Slip of the Tongue only go platinum?
But I think Whitesnake doesn't really begin for me until the Slide It In album in 84.
If Coverdale could sing a little better.
I think it was fucking awesome when Whitesnake popped up in the 2003 movie Old School.
Love Ain't No Stranger absolutely takes the cake on that album for me.
Coverdale reminds me of a guy who drinks tea with his pinky out.
Like a hobo, I was born to walk alone.
I've heard that one of the reasons that they changed it was because it sounded like he was saying like a homo. And I feel like a douchebag. I don't have a Whitesnake shirt. What do you have? You have a Whitesnake shirt? But fucking teenage juvenile humor, kind of the way we talk on this channel, which you're welcome.
The hair metal guru from Warren to Crew. The hair metal guru. Never forget Charlie too.
Welcome to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony. They call me the Guru, and holy shit, we haven't talked about Whitesnake in their own video in the entire history of the channel. Well, today my buddy Ryan and I are going to fix that conundrum because we are doing 10 things I think about Whitesnake. And with that, let's welcome Ryan. Ryan from Metalcast and City to City. We just put out the City to City interview and video, and he's got more songs coming from Metalcast. So Ryan, welcome back to the show.
All right, man. Thanks for having me. This is gonna be really cool. And I'm been a big fan of this band for so many years, and I think it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, it's about, and that's kind of that's a sexy David Coverdale on that shirt.
Oh yeah,
Right? Let me
dude.
see that. Let me see a little bit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How the hell did he not make like our sexiest rockers or the sexiest hair metal dudes? But he.
He's got the sexiest moves.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. So anyway, we were saying I feel like this is a band for being as big as they were for a period of time. Like they just haven't been talked about a whole lot.
All right, I don't know why. I mean, we reference them. Like
Yes.
I was looking back in our 10 things about Dawkins,
Yeah.
and like the first part of it was about Whitesnake because I saw them in a package tour, which was
Yeah.
great.
Sure.
And I like started going off on this Whitesnake tangent, and
Right.
and like a lot of things kind of come back to certain bands. Like you can come back to AC/DC and Van Halen and Motley Crue and Whitesnake a lot.
Yep.
You know, like the roots are there.
Yep.
And this is one of those bands that's just so classic, so huge,
Yep.
so legendary, and they're for a good reason.
And I feel like a douchebag. I don't have a Whitesnake shirt. What do you have? You have a Whitesnake shirt. Decided to go with Bane today, but I'm gonna fix that because I was just on eBay looking through the Whitesnake shirt collection. So at some point I will have one. So
Cool.
with that, we each decided to come up with 10 things we think about Whitesnake. And hey, before we get into it, just want to every Saturday I host Hair Metal Mansion on Rock 101 KLOL, and the link for that will be in the description. So please check that out. There'll also be links for Hair Metal Guru merch, my X account, and all that shit. So with
Cool.
that, let's get into it. 10 things we think about Whitesnake. Ryan, what's your number 10?
Cool. And for the record, I love your playlists on those
yeah.
Hair Metal Mansions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your Vein shirt. But all right. So number 10 for me, I think that Slowpoke Music contains one of the best riffs of their entire catalog and ranks way up there for one of the best riffs in the entire genre.
Right. I was just that never got released as a single. And
No.
I know in past things that I've read, a lot of people have talked about that song as being one of the underrated songs in the Whitesnake catalog. I was just listening to fucking Slip of the Tongue before we started this. I didn't get to that song, but I know that riff and I know that song, but it's been a while. So anyway, yeah, I think that's an underrated song on that album, and I have more to say about that album later, so I'll get to it. But
Well, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one because this was one of those songs that I'm like, could I possibly crank this radio stereo even louder? Because that Steve Vai riff, and I know he recorded it, and I don't know who wrote the music to it, but good God, and the way the music breathes and lets Coverdale come in, and he
yep,
does that a lot. Like there's a lot of songs that let the music breathe and let Coverdale show his stuff. And
yep,
this is one of those, and it's like there's a few riffs in history that really catch my ear, and this is one of them.
yep. Okay. My number 10, and we've talked about this before, and I actually won't be surprised if this is one of your number 10 or one of your numbers. But I think Whitesnake doesn't really begin for me until the Slide It In album in '84. I just all that slow bluesy shit they did before that just does nothing for me. It's no to me it's no mystery that they never got any popularity until they modernized their sound on Slide It In. And on that album, the title track and Slow and Easy are the songs that first got me into that band and probably a lot of other people too. That album did end up going double platinum, but I think the '87 album gets a lot of credit for people saying, fuck, I'm going to go back and revisit the earlier stuff. But most fans didn't go earlier than Slide It In because of that bluesy shit, and I'm one of them. And even when you look at the band, when you look at the earlier videos, like John Lord's on keyboards, John Lord looks like he's about 40 years old. He's like he's overweight, he's got a big huge mustache. They just
Yeah.
don't look like a rock band that is ready to succeed in the 80s. So anyway, I Slide It In is where it starts for me. That's my number 10.
That does come up big time for me, but it does tie into my number 9 in
Okay.
that I'll say this to you. Like a hobo, I was born to walk alone.
Yeah.
So my number 9 is thank God for the re-released updated versions of their killer classics. Here I go again. Who
Yes.
says hobo besides besides me as a joke? Here I go again. Crying in the Rain. Fool for Your Lovin'. Yes, John Kalodner took a big shine to the old Whitesnake catalog and said, I'm going to get those songs, and I'm going to bring them back, and I'm going to make them great again. Which he did. And thank God for it. So that's my number 9. And it ties right into yours, which, again, I will have a little bit of more specifics to what you said, but
Sure.
that re-releases are 1,000 times better.
This is the ultimate in irony because my number 9, I think most Whitesnake fans, at least back in the day, never knew that the 1987 version of Here I Go Again was a re-recording.
Yep.
Re-recorded, remixed with the rock and radio friendly 80s sound. And I was gonna say the lyrics were changed. So you like you said, it used to say like a hobo. And
Yeah.
I've heard that one of the reasons that they changed it was because it sounded like he was saying like a homo. And and they were like, fuck, what's it gonna be a better word than, so obviously Drifter is much better. Iconic song, but real, you can tell the original was a good song, but
Yeah.
it was made iconic in '87. So yes, not and like I said, most Whitesnake fans in '87, they didn't know all that early '80s shit. I know I didn't back in the day. So when I heard Here I Go Again, I just assumed it was a brand new song. It wasn't until much later when people started saying, yeah, shit, it had come out in like '82. So that's my
Oh,
number.
yeah. Yeah. And how many bands do we always talk about? Scorpions, White Lion, Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, all their AC/DC, all their old shit, even Motley Crue went huge because of their current hit.
Yes.
And this was a perfect example of all that coming to fruition, which is great for the band. I mean, like financially, it was wonderful, but that's a perfect example.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that's that's pretty funny. Okay, we're
So,
moving on to our number eight. What's your number eight?
okay, this one's very broad, but I think 1987. When I think of a perfect album, this one always comes to mind, and not only the songs, but the videos, the tour with Motley Crue, the look, and the members. I think that it was such a cool. I mean, the Sykes thing is pretty fucked up, but like it was the visuals especially, and Coverdale kind of knew what he wanted to display. But I just think like there's a few perfect things out there. I'm a big fan of the Nike Air Jordans. I've had like I collect all that shit. I have like a treasure trove of Jordans,
Mhm.
like the Jordan 4s and the 1987 album. They're just perfect.
Right.
Like you're gonna release a shoe or release an album, that's it. Like that
Right.
they're both like you could do no wrong. And this is one of those.
I listened to the '87 album today. I was like, "Fuck, man,"
Yeah.
and obviously I'm gonna have shit on Sykes, but that guitar tone on that album is
Yeah.
unbelievable. And
Unbelievable.
talk about the visuals. When you see Coverdale in the early 80s in those old albums, you look at some of the videos, he's got like really dark hair,
Yeah.
but visually, he really fit in with Vince Neil and John Bon Jovi and Tom Kiefer in 87. I mean, that look was updated and fucking ready to rock in 87.
Isn't it funny that guys with kinky dark hair went straight blonde by
Yep.
like 89 or 90?
Yep.
Like Joe Elliott,
Totally.
even Don Henley. You ever seen Don Henley or Neil Schon? They had like the white boy fro.
Right?
And then it like suddenly, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right. My number eight. I think Tawny Katane
Oh,
deserves a lot of credit for the explosion of popularity of the 87 album. I mean, obviously the album is awesome. We just talked about that. And it was probably going to do well regardless. But Whitesnake had already been around a long time without ever breaking big in America. And even though it's awesome, it's not a sure thing that it was going to break in 87. But I think those videos and Tawny fucking rolling around on those cars, like you said, Whitesnake became a visual band in 87. And back in the day, I think people forget how famous she was
yeah.
because of those videos. So I'm not saying that she's the only reason the album blew up. It was an amazing album, but I think she damn well played a part in that thing going 8 times platinum.
Yeah, brilliant idea to get her in there and make her like an iconic figure. And she was in the big three, Still the Night, Here I Go Again, Is This Love, and then more than that. But like,
Yep.
absolutely, even I rip like it's not out yet, but we had a video of the hottest females
Yep.
in hair metal, and it'll probably be out by the time this one's out.
Yep.
But like there's visions of her dancing around in the Is This Love video
Yeah.
with the skirt on, and you could see the thong underwear in between. It's like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Every teenage guy in the 80s was like tripping that he was like into it. So I'm there.
Like when you look at like Cherry Pie, yes, Bobby Brown was amazing for that song, but she was only on that one song. I
Right.
think when you talk about video vixens doing for an album, you look at Alicia Silverstone on Aerosmith's Get a Grip was in 3 videos. That album blows up. I think she deserves a lot of credit for that. And
Yeah.
Tawny Katane on the 87 album deserves a lot of credit for that one too.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed.
All right. We are on to your number 7.
Okay. Still of the Night is a Whitesnake classic, Led Zeppelin epic, never turning it off gem. But I want to take a moment to preach its little brother, and that is Children of the Night. That's my sleeper favorite on the album. Like, I don't know if I don't really have a favorite on 87,
Yep.
but Children of the Night is like it's like it's like the Gods of War or the like Don't Shoot Shotgun
Yeah.
of the album because there
Yeah.
were too many good songs
Yeah.
and too many singles like Hysteria. You're like, man, maybe you should have saved it. But
Right.
Children of the Night is such a sleeper ripper, and it shows off a little bit of everyone in the band, which I'm so pumped on because Sykes kills it and Coverdale kills it. Obviously, the rhythm section always kills it, but yeah, that song is such a sleeper.
How many wasn't there only like was there 3 or 4 singles on that album?
I think there were 4 when it was all said and done. I think if I could,
Yeah, I should have checked.
obviously, Here I Go Again, Still the Night, Is This Love, and I'm probably forgetting. There's got to be a 4th that I'm going to be blown up in the comments for.
But that's why I said 3 because that's the only 3 in my head. Maybe I'm missing one.
Is there another re-release that I'm not crying in the rain that wasn't a single?
Oh, was it? So yeah, what that wasn't a single?
I don't
Or
think so, dude.
is
I don't know.
Bad Boys Running Wild?
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys. Yeah.
That was. I don't think that was either, which is also so killer. God,
But but shit, what was the name of the song you were just talking about?
Children of the Night.
Children of the Night. Like
Yeah.
I'm surprised that wasn't a single.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
I mean that album could have had 5 or 6 singles.
Oh, yes.
And
Absolutely.
and maybe then it becomes like Hysteria
Yep.
and goes 10 times platinum instead of only 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm right with
now you're gonna make $370.
you. All right, Charlie's got to go potty. Yeah, you got to take your big boobies outside. Talk to your friends. Okay, my number 7. I think it was crazy and kind of hilarious when Led Zeppelin singer Robert Plant nicknamed David Coverdale David Cover Version
Ooh.
in a tongue-in-cheek kind of jab. So when you look at Coverdale in the 80s, the vocal style, the stage presence, but I think specifically when I look at the song "Still of the Night" and Led Zeppelin's "Black Dog," you
Oh, yeah.
really hear, it's got that vocal opening, then vroom, that guitar riff. I mean, that really does seem like a Zeppelin. I don't know if it's a ripoff, but definitely they were using a Zeppelin influence. So
Right.
you can see it on that song. But what even makes it more ironic, and I've always heard that Coverdale, he never was like, fuck him. He kind of stayed out of it. And even years later, he's like, well, fuck, I do love Robert Plant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so maybe there, but what makes it ironic is that in 93, Coverdale joins Jimmy Page. And
Right.
I think that there was even talk that Page was kind of using that as a, well, fuck, Robert doesn't want to, Page wanted to get back together and do Zeppelin, and Plant was like not having it. So Page was like, fuck, you called him David Cover Version? Fine, I'll join a band with him and we'll become the new Led Zeppelin. Obviously, that Coverdale Page album, I think it sold like 800,000 copies, but
Yeah.
it wasn't the second coming of Zeppelin that people hoped it would be.
They should have had Lenny Wolf or Jack Russell.
Right? Right.
But for real, I saw 2 comparisons. The stage moves,
Yeah.
and the curly hair. Like the wavy blonde hair. It's like I don't see their vocal styles
Sure.
being that similar at all. But I do totally understand your point of the Black Dog thing
Yeah.
in Still the Night because
I don't hear the vocal like you hear the Lenny Wolf Kingdom Come
yes.
vocal. I don't hear Coverdale's like oh, you sound like
Yeah.
Robert Plant. Just
Right.
for me mainly on that song. But yes, the stage presence, and just a lot of people felt like, yeah, he was copying Plant. Anyway, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt.
Well, who aged better and who kept it together more so? And it's a toss up because
Yeah,
they both lost the high note to an extent,
sure.
obviously, but like that's gonna happen. That's a given. That's
Both
the
of
but
those guys looked pretty fucking good for
oh yeah,
how old they got, and still, I mean, obviously, you're going to lose the higher range of
right.
your register. I mean, it's going to happen, but
Yes.
they both kept it going a lot longer than most people did.
That Coverdale Page album, I've tried.
Yeah,
I like it. I do like it. I've tried to love it though for
yeah.
years and different occasions. Um, it might be one of those sleepers that creep up on me in like albums I didn't like we did 5 albums I didn't pay attention to until the last 5 years.
Yep.
Now I've known it for years and a
Yeah.
couple decades, but I just haven't really succumbed to loving that album yet.
I like to me, Zeppelin was a little too bluesy for me. And
Mhm.
from what I heard on that album, it was a little bluesier than I wanted to be. I mean, if they would have gone like I love Zeppelin rock and roll, Black
Yeah,
Dog, if they would have put that kind of fucking screaming hard rock album, I think I would have been all on board. But the
right.
stuff that I heard wasn't the Zeppelin Whitesnake stuff that I fell in love with. So I kind of put it away rather quickly. And I should revisit it because I probably didn't give it the chance that it deserved.
You know what? On that note, while you were talking about if you ever heard the live stuff by them on that tour, they didn't do much touring, if I recall, but there's some stuff on YouTube. And Coverdale actually does a very, very ripping job of doing the Led Zeppelin stuff.
Yeah.
And he adds that like really killer element to it, which I love Plant and I do like Zeppelin a lot.
Yep.
But Coverdale really makes it killer. So if anybody out there hasn't checked that out and you're yearning for more,
Right.
that's a good one to check out.
Awesome. Okay. Shit, that was your number 6, right?
That was your number 7. I'm on to my number 6, I believe.
Fuck. Okay. All right. We're on to your number 6. What do you got?
My number 6 is Still of the Night live 1987 MTV Music Awards. Oh, it doesn't get much more like, look at me, we're the best, we're killer. Check out my musicianship. I'm going to melt the faces of the people in the crowd that don't expect this. But dude, holy moly, it's such a great rendition of that song. It's from 87 MTV Music Awards. Check it out.
I just wrote it down because I would think maybe I've seen it, but yeah, it's not in my head. So I'm going to check it out as soon as I get done. So that's what
You probably have. It's got the 87 lineup complete with Vivian in there, the fake boulders on stage, which are great. And it's just like, dude, the people in the crowd are probably like, what is this?
Right. 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 Okay. My number 6. I think most casual fans of Whitesnake forget that David Coverdale got his start in one of the biggest 70s rock bands of all time, Deep Purple. I mean, and I'm not the word Deep Purple's a little too keyboardy. Remind me a little bit too much of early Whitesnake, which obviously is what it was getting, a lot of keyboard. But he was on 3 albums, Burn in 74, Stormbringer in 74, and Come Taste the Band in 75. Those were big albums. They were like top 10, Billboard top 10 albums.
Yeah.
The band broke up in 76. Coverdale goes on to start Whitesnake in 78. And I almost made this a separate thing. David Coverdale was 23 when he released the Burn album in
Yeah.
74, which means he was 36 fucking years old when they
Yeah.
released the 87 album.
Yeah,
And
totally.
obviously Deep Purple was famous, but not many people explode to fame
No,
at that age.
no,
And fucking David Coverdale pulled it off. It's amazing.
I know. And if you recall, he was like kind of shit on for like his baby fat. Do you remember that? Like people were telling him like, dude, you got to ditch that shit. Like he was two 70s, two kind of like frumpy brown hair, brown wavy hair,
He
and they
used to
gave him
wear a beard.
shit.
He wore a beard a lot.
Yeah, and they gave him shit for that. And dude, he really did a job and went full like defined in 87.
Totally.
But yeah, I actually went back recently and I was like, I gotta give this a chance because I'm just like you. I don't love the Deep Purple organ keyboard stuff. Um, but I wanted to hear more Coverdale, and I wanted to hear him at 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna have that spry, insane voice that we hear on Slip of the Tongue and all that. But anyway, it surprised me that there's some hard shit.
Yeah.
I do recognize a few of the songs, but I'm right there with you. Like you kind of forget and you wonder the financial success that he had at that point because if you recall during the making of 87 he was going off about how we're broke and
Yep.
I had to take time off because he had a sinus infection and he couldn't sing for 6 months
Yep.
and they were hurting financially, but man, like he was in Deep Purple, like he was flying on airplanes and staying in the best hotels and one of the members, like he had to have been
But
feeling it, you know?
I bet when he comes in after what was his name? The original singer of Deep Purple, Ian
Ian
Gillan.
Gillan.
Ian Gillan. I bet when he comes in, they're like, "All right, listen here, pal.
Yeah,
We write the songs. You fucking sing the songs. You
yeah,
know, you'll make a good wage. We'll pay you really fucking well. You'll be a
yeah.
rock star, but you're not getting any of the publishing. I bet. I mean, I
No,
can't guarantee it because I'm not an expert on Deep Purple, but I bet he was making a lot of money, but he
yep,
wasn't living off, residuals after that period. And so I just assume that that's, I mean, that's the way it is in most bands.
yeah, totally.
If you're not one of the original guys, you come in, they're like, okay, you're just going to do what you're told, and play your fucking guitar or sing your song, but we're going to write the songs because that's where the money is.
Yeah, Vivian Campbell's living in a 2-bedroom apartment in San Francisco. He can't afford shit. No, I'm just joking.
Right. Right. And I'll be talking about Vivian Campbell later on.
Oh, nice.
And I do like some Deep Purple. I mean, who doesn't like Smoke on the
Right.
Water? Fucking. I mean, if you gave me a Deep Purple's greatest hits, there'd probably be 5 or 6 songs where I'd be like, fucking A.
Oh
But
yeah.
but there's a lot of Deep Purple shit that I'm like, okay, here's the fucking 2-minute organ solo,
Ah,
and yeah, so anyway,
yeah.
respect to them for doing what they did, but I was never a huge fan.
Agreed.
Okay. We are on to your number 5. What do you got?
How did Slip of the Tongue only go platinum?
Yeah.
That was shocking. And actually, I don't remember if it was you or Metal Mike, but you guys educated me on that. I was like thinking it had to go 2 or 3 times,
Yep.
after the success of 87
Yep.
and then Slip of the Tongue being like as epic as I think it is, and the amount of singles and the amount of like huge budget videos
Yeah.
and press that was put into that, like just platinum. What a letdown, dude. Like you confirmed it with me. You're like, yep, it only went platinum as of what year you looked it up.
Yep.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. That album to me is as good as 87 probably. And for an 8 million to 1 million, it's weird. I don't understand how it happened. So I'm sure
I'm gonna have something similar to that, but I I've heard some people say, well, they were trying too hard to copy 87. I don't. I think fucking Slip of the Tongue is phenomenal. Uh,
yeah, it's
some
awesome.
people said overexposure. Well, fuck. I mean, Bon Jovi didn't suffer from overexposure. I mean, they fucking blew up. So
Yep.
it makes no sense. I do have something coming up about that, but I completely agree. It's a great fucking album, and you're right. You're right. What the fuck happened?
Yep.
So, okay. Uh, my number 5. I think it was fucking awesome when Whitesnake popped up in the 2003 movie Old School. Do you
Oh
remember?
yeah.
So, in the movie, Will Ferrell's character Frank is like fixing his hot rod car. He's drinking a beer, and he's fucking rocking out to "Here I Go Again." And then his wife comes out, and she's like, "Oh, I was thinking we could do this tomorrow night." And he's like, "Well, I got to go to my buddy's Mitch's party." Well, Mitch had just moved into a place on campus, and his wife reminds him, "Well, make sure Frank the Tank doesn't come out," which was his old college, his party hard persona. Anyway, that fucking movie was amazing. They don't make cool shit like that anymore. And this is 2003, which I still think was in the, hey, we're gonna shit on hair metal. We're not going to give it any credit. We're not going to fucking talk about it. And if we do, it's only going to be how bad it sucks. And to see a hair metal band come up in a hugely popular movie was just like, oh, thank you. Like, now fucking people were talking about Whitesnake again and going, shit, they had some cool shit. So I loved it as a hair metal fan. It was a great movie, and it finally, showed hair metal in a more positive light than what we had been seeing in the last 12 years.
Oh yeah. That was a huge movie for me. I was 22 when it came out, and we would obsessively watch that movie.
Oh,
I mean, think about it. That was in my heyday, and I was just like, "Oh, dude, this movie's so killer." And when I heard that, absolutely, they were shitting on hair metal. They were showing these guys as passe and old school, and you know, probably like when in Billy Madison, he pulls up to the high school and he's cranking Billy Squire, and it's like, oh, what a loser. It's like, yeah, right, dude, this is killer. And that's what it was expected to be.
yeah.
So, dude, I love that part. I love that movie. And at the end, when that fuckface is fishing and the car lands on him, I think the guy that's driving the Porsche is also cranking it.
Oh, yeah.
And he lands right on top
I,
of him. Anyway, yeah, obviously I know that movie.
I haven't seen it for a while, but that movie did so like remember Mitch fucking is sleeping with the high school girl? There was so much shit. They don't make comedies. Like
Oh,
now I'm gonna go off topic, but like super bad and old school where fucking just not gross, but fucking teenage juvenile humor, kind of the way we talk on this channel, which you're welcome. Okay. So anyway, like they need to, but in the last 5, 6 years, it's everything's got to be politically correct and we can't offend anybody. And I fucking despise that. And I think that's one of the reasons why, like, fuck, we were talking in a recent video about like how much we swear. And it's not like I'm trying, it's just, but that's kind of my military persona. That's how we talked. And it's just, I was just like, fuck it. I'm not gonna censor myself because I think it's funny when people talk that way. And I find it funny when we talk that way. So anyway, now I'm off topic, but I wish they did more shit like that. Go back to the way things used to be in comedies and go back to the way things used to be in music like Whitesnake.
dude, look at Blazing Saddles. Those guys were all best friends off camera. If you ever look at the behind the scenes of that or the stories behind that, oh my God.
Yes.
They laughed at the fact that we
Yes.
were so ignorant back in the day. And those guys were the best of friends, dude. Like, that
Right.
is the perfect example of like, leave the past behind. We all
Yes.
fucked up.
Yes.
And look at us now.
And even when we did the hottest hair metal dudes, remember, like
Ah,
joking about gay, and I was
yeah,
like, fucking my best gay friends, of which I have gay friends, they would, it was funny for them to make fun of me
of course.
for being straight.
Yeah.
And like we would go out to bars and I'd be like, "Hey, check out that dude. Like that guy's hot." And they'd be like, "Oh, you could become gay." And anyway, like it was okay to joke about shit. And like in the last 5, 6 years, suddenly you couldn't joke about anything, and I fucking had it with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, so you in the military, me in the paramilitary
Yes.
fire service.
Yes.
One of my good buddies at work, full Mexican, born in Mexico.
Yes.
Probably the most legitimate, experienced firefighter we have. He goes, Ryan, I knew we were friends when we could start cracking racial jokes on one another. And I was like, exactly.
I'm gonna leave this in because fuck, I want people to hear it. But, so I coached my son's travel basketball team, and we had like the team was half black, half white, and I taught at the school, and all these kids, and I'm not trying to brag, but they fucking loved me, and they were like, "Can we be on your team?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and most of them sucked. They were like, they had never practiced basketball before, but I was like, "Fuck it." They were just a blast. But I remember one time we were driving to a tournament, and I had a vehicle, and I had like half the team, and one of the little black kids, we were talking about crime or something, and suddenly he goes, "Well, people probably think we did it because we're black," and everybody got quiet for a second, and then everybody just busted laughing, including those guys. And then suddenly, like, we started joking that way, and they would crack white jokes, and
Oh yeah.
and I'd be like, "Hey, something's missing." I'm like, "Well, it's probably the black kids." And it was so, but it was hilarious. And I had some of the best relationships with those kids. And I think it was only because we were so close. We were like, "Fuck, let's throw these stereotypes into the humor pile, and it's not a big fucking deal."
Right.
So we should go back to that.
Well, who are your 5 starters?
We would rotate. It wasn't all. It was, yeah. Oh yeah. And they'd be like, and some of those kids weren't that good, and they'd be like, "Fuck, I'm black, and I'm not that good at basketball." And I'm like, "Don't worry, you're gonna get better." But it was just hilarious, you know.
Oh, dude, the Warriors were getting smoked last night. 5 turnovers in 5 consecutive plays. 3 white guys on the court. I was like, get them out. Get them out of here.
Right? Like, obviously. Duh. Okay. All right. Shit. See, now that's when you know a video is good, is when you forget, like when you get
That was the
get
best
rolling.
tangent we've ever had.
That was a fucking great tangent. We should probably keep it going. Anyway, so who did just go?
I think you went, and I was gonna say the guys in living color should have been in Whitesnake. No, I'm just joking. My number 4 is that.
Okay, you're number 4. All right.
My number 4 is that the latter album, including Restless Heart, are pretty damn good. All the albums. I can't recall all the albums that have come out since Restless Heart, but they're all fucking good. They feature Reb Beach, Doug Aldrich, Joel Hoekstra. I mean, you can't ignore these guys, dude. They fucking rip, and actually stayed pretty true to form. And if Coverdale could sing a little better, it would have been the last album they had would have been fucking killer. Like,
Right.
really killer. And I was so bummed that he kind of just, and you might have something on this, but he kind of just growls now and doesn't really hit Coverdale-esque notes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to feel about this, because like Don Dokken is like cringy obvious. Vince Neil is cringy obvious. Coverdale is like, he's so proper and happy and polite and killer. You're like, dude, you don't do anything like you used to do. But the last album they released had like Johnny Gioli sang it, or like Jorn. Holy shit. It would have been up there with Slip of the Tongue.
Okay. That's called Flesh and Blood, right?
That's the one.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of being proper and shit, Coverdale reminds me of a guy who like drinks tea with his pinky out.
I know.
And
Gosh,
and in a way, I was kind of annoyed. He'd be like, "Oh, all right, all right, let's go do this and cheerio." And in a way,
hello, my darlings.
yes, hello, my God. In a way, I was kind of annoyed. But I'm like, that's not fucking an 80s rock star. You're supposed to be like, fuck this shit and screw that bitch and all that. And he was like, yeah, anyway.
He'd be talking about Cognac and Jaguar XJS.
Yes.
You can't be talking about that.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna adjust my order because I have something right about what you're talking about. So my now is that was your number four. I
Yeah.
think that as much as I love Whitesnake, I just haven't gravitated to anything they've done since 1989. I have
Mhm.
never listened to Restless Heart, came out in 97. I actually bought Good to Be Bad in 2008. Barely remember listening to it. I should. Forevermore in 2011, never bought. The Purple album, I knew I wasn't going to buy that because it was like
No.
Deep Purple rehashes. And then
Right.
Flesh and Blood in 2019 have all
Right.
passed me by. So I was going to say, please tell me in the comments what I need to revisit. But I don't, so many of our favorite bands, I was still buying their shit in the 90s and the 2000s. And for some reason, I just never stuck with Whitesnake. And maybe I should. So anyway, that's kind of tag teaming on yours.
That's good. I mean, I feel like they deserve to be purchased. They're that good. His voice was still holding up. I don't know if it was Studio Magic. The last album, not so much. Like
Right.
you could tell. And that's what I'm saying. Like if you had Coverdale even 95 on Flesh and Blood, you'd be like, fuck, this is very true to form.
Yeah.
Like as 89 slip of the tongue ish Whitesnake as it gets. But he just wasn't there vocally, which sucks, you know, like I still got it and I still thought it was cool, but
Right.
it could have been way cooler.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. We are on to your number three, I think. So,
Yes. Yeah.
okay.
Number three. I got I think that the Live at Donington 1990 is absolutely awesome. I think they got a bad rap for that due to the Americanized Snake at the European crowd, and people were really shit on it. But the live CD and the live video, obviously the video's been out for a long time, but they put it out audio. I I love this set list. I love the Americanized Snake. I always said two bands. The Scorpions and Whitesnake are the best American band that's ever existed, and it's only because in the heyday they were as Americanized as you could have, and they probably took a lot of shit because of it. You know, Steve Vai getting into the band was pretty controversial,
Yep.
and for a Euro band that's used to the old school stuff we were talking about, the organ based, the ain't no love in the heart of the city shit. They didn't want to hear Kittens Got Claws, you know.
Right.
We did.
Right.
I
Right.
love the 1990 Donington, and I think it's a perfect concert, a perfect set list, and a great example of what Whitesnake was in that era.
Right. Right. I don't think I've watched the whole thing. I've watched bits and pieces. There will be sections, and so I've watched some of the big songs. But he sounded fucking great. So now I'm like, fuck, I want to go listen to that. So
Yeah, it's cool.
okay, fuck. Now I'm trying to figure out my order because okay, I'm gonna go to this one because I had to rearrange. I think I've never seen a lyricist write more about fucking love than David Coverdale. I mean, shit. It's like 80% of their songs are about him looking for love, being guilty of love, begging for love, or even standing in the shadows of love. But I guess if you wind up with cokeheads like Tawny Katane, you're probably going to find yourself looking for love more frequently than the average douchebag. Anyway, like it seems like whenever I'm listening, "Oh, I was looking for love, baby. Look, and like, am I off track? It just always seems like that's what he's talking about. And I'll be honest, that's kind of a turnoff for me. It was, like we've talked about how, or I was ready for bands to change lyrically and get a little bit deeper than, oh baby, you and I are gonna make it. No, I'm just looking, and all the
Yeah.
love shit kind of got old at a certain point. Now it shouldn't have, even like we've talked about the 89 album, but yeah, it just felt like there was more of that than there needed to be. You could have some of that, but he kind of overdid it.
There was a lot of that. I remember Kip Winger talking about that. Like, you lost love, you found love, you need love, love broke your heart, and then you get the Lillian acts of just like, fuck you, I'm more killer than you anyway.
Right.
Like and then
Right.
you got Coverdale, who just was the poet with all things love. And
Yeah.
all the titles you just described was like the title of the songs, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, he overdid it big time.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're on your number two.
That's right.
Am I right?
Okay.
Okay. What's your number two?
And this dovetails onto one of yours at the very beginning.
Sure.
They have 2.5 albums in my book. I ignore everything south of Love Ain't No Stranger all the way back to 1978. And Love Ain't No Stranger absolutely takes the cake on that album for me. I love Slow and Easy and I love Slide It In. But Love Ain't No Stranger, dude, oh my God. To me, that's just like, that's one of the best Whitesnake songs ever written and ever recorded.
Yep. I love that song. I listen because I've listened. I'll be honest. I didn't listen to anything before that album.
No,
But I revisited the 84, Slide It In, 87, and 89. And just
perfect.
to kind of like, because, but yeah, Love Ain't No Stranger is phenomenal as well. That would be my third favorite song. But you can
Yeah,
tell, wasn't some of it recorded before Sykes came in? Uh,
that I don't know, but
okay.
I have tried several times to really dig into that album because I wanted more Whitesnake and I wanted more like 80s Whitesnake.
Yep.
And and the rest of it is pretty much what you were saying towards the beginning of the video is of
Yep.
just like it's not there for us.
It,
It's
it,
not there for the people that love the shit that we like. And I've tried, dude. I've tried big time, but it's just not there.
I thought, and I could be wrong. Somebody let me. There will be some White Snake expert, and I don't think I'm a White Snake expert because there's so many
Right.
periods I don't know about, except for that main
Yeah.
frame. But
Yeah.
I thought that like maybe Sykes came in and some of the songs were already written, but you could, if you listen to that album, you could be like, hey, he was on that one, he was on that one, and oh shit, it doesn't sound like he was on these. So I could be wrong. Maybe they just were
Yeah.
writing a different style before they decided to jack it up. But it feels like some of that album is still the old school White Snake, and some of that is the new school White Snake.
Well, check this out. Listen to Blue Murder and listen to White Snake and count how many songs start like this. And you're
Before you
like,
even said it, I knew exactly what you were going to do. Vroom.
and you're like, holy shit. 8 out of 10 songs start that way, which I'm down for it because it's so fucking ripping.
Oh,
But like, you think like Angus wrote the same album 19 times,
yeah.
but John Sykes wrote the same song 8 out of 10.
And you know what? It's like it's probably like he fucking did that and he was like, holy shit. Because I love
Oh,
oh, I love it. You
yeah.
know?
To
And
clarify, I
but yeah,
don't.
I mean, can you
I
overdo
love it.
something? But he was probably like, shit, this is so badass. Let's do it constantly. You know,
Yeah, yeah. And I preach it. I want him to keep. I wish he would keep doing it.
totally.
R.I.P.
Totally. Like I love, and I don't know that there's probably a term for it, but I love when a song is going on and they slide the pickup the guitar, the
Oh,
noise that it makes. Like
oh yeah.
like for example, Shotgun Messiah, Heartbreak Boulevard. When he's
Oh
sliding the pick, and Richie Sambora does that a lot. I love that sound. So sometimes I'm like, fuck, throw that in there more. It's just such a cool sounding thing. Well, it's the same thing with John Sykes and his, anyway.
yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Mick Mars does it. I think what is it? Red Hot. Angus does it on the some solos like inject the venom it is so it's such a
yeah,
standout thing and
yeah.
obviously Sykes, so we love it.
Oh, man. All right. My number two, and this kind of similar. I knew we were going to have some that were going to be similar, but that's okay. I think you very rarely see a band explode as big as Whitesnake got in '87 with that self-titled album going 8 times platinum and drop off a fucking cliff like they did. I mean, the when the '87 album was blowing up, they were with Def Leppard probably the biggest band. You know, this they Def Leppard and Bon Jovi, but Guns N' Roses hadn't blown up yet. They were bigger than Motley Crue. Fuck,
Yep.
gonna let Charlie in. They were bigger than Motley Crue. So with Bon Jovi and Def Leppard, Whitesnake, and I have all those magazines. Coverdale is on the cover of everything
Yeah.
back then. Unreal how big they were. So then they put out the '89 album, and it's fucking '89. Metal is still on top. So how the fuck does the next album only go platinum? Okay, we talked about that. But now here's where it gets really fucked up, in my opinion. They didn't release another album after Slip of the Tongue in '89 till '97. I mean, even though Slip of the Tongue only went platinum, it still went platinum. How did they not put out an album in '91 or
Yeah.
'92 when metal was still faring pretty well? It's just baffling how they fucking disappeared.
It is weird. I don't get it, and it's maybe a reflection on Coverdale's age and his desire to not be '80s hair metal. Like he was so hell bent on being '70s classic blues. Like I said, in the heart of the what is it? Ain't no love in the heart of the city. That whole thing, like he was more that guy than he was,
Yes.
Kitten's Got Claws, Judgment Day, this and that,
Yeah.
which sucks because that made him, and that is our opinion of what is killer about him.
Yes.
So the fact that they didn't do it, maybe the Coverdale Page thing was really cooking up, and he had visions of that, and he was thinking of that, and that was his goal. I don't know.
But I think he was thinking, oh, Coverdale Page, we can go back to the '70s bluesy rock that he probably loved.
Yeah.
And you can envision the '87 and the '89 album being like, okay, David, we're your record company. We're gonna need you to change shit up. And him
Yeah.
probably because like they talked about in the '87 album, one of the big problems was he took forever to go sing it. It was this issue and that issue. And maybe he was like, fuck, I don't know if this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
And it blew up and made him world famous. But even if you're world famous and you're making a ton of money, if that's not where you are musically, you're probably like, yeah, this is pretty fucking great, but I wish I was doing the music that is more true to where I am. I'm not saying that that's what, but I could see that being what was happening.
Yeah.
And maybe when the '89 album didn't do what it did, maybe he's like, okay, that kind of sucks, but now I can go write the music that I want to write anyway.
Right. And to your point about them blowing up with the '87 album, dude, how was that Motley Girls tour? Motley was completely fucked up,
Yep.
floundering, so fucked up on drugs and alcohol. The album only did 2 million, almost got to number one. Good album, obviously, and like successful.
Yep.
Motley was everything. But I've wondered how Motley felt about following up such professionals on stage. And
Right.
and they did great. Like if you look at old Motley shit, like they did great. They were such showmans, and Vince sounded good, and everything was fine. But God, like following up Whitesnake, that would have been a very tough task.
When you look at the musicianship and
Yeah.
Whitesnake, I'm sure they weren't out, drinking a quart of Jack Daniels and snorting coke off strippers' asses like Motley Crue was. So, Whitesnake was always going to be on their game live, and Motley Crue, I bet, was probably hit or miss, and there were probably some days where they weren't all fucking there together. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
no, absolutely not.
So, and maybe, well, I mean, obviously they were going to try to get them sober, but maybe them fucking playing with Whitesnake and seeing how a real fucking band played might have, and obviously Nikki being on heroin and shit, but you get some inspiration. Fuck, we could be like that band if we got sober, and they did, and look what they did on Dr. Feelgood.
Well, look what Mutt had Joe Elliott go watch Coverdale in the studio when they were recording Pyromania, and he said, "Look at that guy." They were doing Slide It In,
Yep.
and Elliott was having a little bit of trouble, and Mutt said, "Go watch David Coverdale." He watched him, and he said, "Oh my God, that's how a true singer sounds and sings and is in the groove." And that's perfect, because that's exactly what Vince probably did when he was watching that, and he was like, "Fuck." Like, I'm killer, I'm Vince Neil, I'm on top of the world, everybody loves Motley Crue, but holy moly, that's David Coverdale.
And then Motley got it together for Dr. Feelgood, and that after that he's like, "All right, we did one sober, now fuck it, bring on the chicks and the booze and the coke, and
Nice.
back to the way it used to be, the fun times." Yeah.
Exactly. And then Exposed came out, and it was great. It should have been what Motley had released.
But yeah, I mean, just back to the original point, I can't believe after 89 it was over. Really.
I know. Weird.
All right, we are on to your number one. What do you got?
All right, here's what I got. Bernie Marsden, Mick Moody, and the fucking Coverdale clone, Jorn Landy, putting out the 1998 epic called The Snakes. And I thought I stumbled upon a Whitesnake unreleased, God knows when it was recorded, demo album, maybe even like a Page and Plant thing. But dude, if you've never heard of The Snakes, it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, whatever. It's insane. And I like Jorn. I think he's a great singer. I'm not like an expert on him, but oh my God, it's down to the pronunciation. You like, Coverdale says weird things like, the word time. He says it like it's the name Tom. Like, if you ever listen to Whitesnake, he'll be like, he'll say it, he'll sing it, and it's like the word time sounds like Tom.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? Yep. Jorn does it exactly like that.
Yeah.
And I shit you not, it fooled me. And I call myself an expert, not a guru, but an expert. Right. But anyway, then it's from 98. It's super random. There's a YouTube live video where they actually do perform this album called The Snakes, and obviously old Whitesnake stuff. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, who is this guy? And it's Jorn, and he's doing Coverdale better than Coverdale. So check it out.
Fuck. I've heard people talk about that album before. It's been talked about on the channel at some point.
Yeah.
That seems really awkward. 1998.
It is so
suddenly
awkward.
these former Whitesnake guys and then Jorn Landy get together and do basically say, okay, we're gonna fucking try to recreate Whitesnake. Yeah. And I've listened to a couple songs I really enjoy. I just wrote it down because I'm like, fuck, I gotta go listen to that album.
Yeah.
I've heard, I think Brian has talked about that album too and been like very complimentary. I know okay.
Yeah. I don't remember where it came up with us, but it was like Metal Mike was like, hey, check this band out. And on Spotify, it's like a series of suggested albums. Yeah. And that came up, and I was like, click.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I missed some David Coverdale something.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so fucked. I'm not a fan. And I was like, wait a minute. This isn't Coverdale, but it's damn close. and it's really good. So for those out there that are yearning for more, check that out.
And even to call it the Snakes, I mean,
I
could
know.
you be any more blatant about, okay, we're trying to cash in? But I
Yeah.
mean, I get it. Fuck. I mean, imagine you used to be in Whitesnake back before they blew up, and you're trying to make it in the fucking 90s.
Oh,
And not shit is good. You're gonna fucking break out any trick you got. So obviously you can't call it white snake, but the snakes, because you're probably fucking, you're probably broke and you'll do anything to get attention for your band. So I'm not shitting on them for doing that. Like, I get it. I get it.
and I wonder because those guys, I think, had a hand in Here I Go Again, Fool for
Yeah.
Your Lovin'.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, it's
I
probably
don't
not
know.
like they were probably making some money, but I mean, if your main source of income is residuals from the early 80s, I mean, anyway, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want, you want to be on top. You want people to fucking love you and be like, "Hey, fuck." So, you do what you can to get attention. And so it's not a bad thing.
Right. Exactly.
All right. My number one, you had to know it was coming. I think the John Sykes firing, and I've said this before, but I need to say it again. The John Sykes firing after recording the 87 album is one of the worst backstabbings in the history of metal. Sykes co-wrote 9 of the 11 songs on
Oof.
that album. So even though he didn't co-write Here I Go Again, his fucking guitar had a lot to do with that becoming the hit that it became. Um, and he gets fired before he can even appear in any of the fucking videos or go out on the tour. And so I was looking up like what were some of the reasons that were given. So one thing, Coverdale said, I think this is in the 2000s, he felt like Sykes was trying to take over the band because there was the period where they weren't recording. Sykes was saying he had all these vocal problems. So apparently, or Coverdale was saying he had those vocal problems. Apparently, Sykes went in and put down some of the vocals, maybe just to like, hey, here's how maybe it will go. David, we're in the studio, David's not. But I don't buy, Whitesnake was a Coverdale vehicle. I don't think there was any chance of the record company going, hey, fuck, let's kick Coverdale out. Sykes, you'll be the singer. I don't think that was going to happen. So I don't buy that excuse. Then another reason people were saying is that, hey, yes, Whitesnake was trying to modernize, maybe hair metalize their sound and look. Ooh, got some
Oh,
fucking balloons finally. So they wanted to get guys in the band who looked more appropriate. Was fucking Vivian Campbell? Did he look more hair metal and rock starish than John Sykes? No. No fucking chance. So that excuse I don't buy. Now here's what I do buy is maybe Coverdale was like, "Holy shit. This guy is a fantastic songwriter. He looks amazing. I want the attention on me." So you know what? I'm going to remind people that it's all about me. I'm going to ditch all these guys and I'm going to bring in new guys and they're going to be reminded this is the David Coverdale show. I could see that happening because Coverdale's entire history is littered with, okay, you're in the band for a little bit, now you're out. You're in the band for a little bit, now you're out. So I don't know, but that just seems to me like a logical excuse. So anyway, no offense, Vivian, but when it comes to looks, well, you're a hell of a guitar player. So I totally believe that the fall of Whitesnake that I talked about before is karma coming back to bite the band in the ass because Sykes, in my opinion, made the 87 album what it was. May he rest in peace.
oh man, you nailed it. Like, look at him in Blue Murder. He was a blonde, shirtless.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know how tall he was, but he looked tall and like Robin Crosby esque. Like, dude, You nailed it. Probably, like he just, he was the epitome of, but it's like, why not have that next to you?
Right.
That's perfect. I don't know. It never made sense to me either. I don't
No.
get it.
And I mean, when Vandenberg came, I mean, Steve Vai was never known for his looks. Vandenberg was a pretty good looking,
Yeah.
but Coverdale's a vain guy.
Yeah.
And it's got to be about him. And I could just see that being part of the reason. Anyway, uh,
Yeah.
so and and unfortunately, I mean, the Blue Murder album, both it's like it fucked both of them. Because Slip of the Tongue only goes platinum, Blue Murder only goes gold. Neither one of those guys achieved the heights that they did when they were together. Uh, and they just should have stayed together. Who knows? Maybe the '89 album blows up, and maybe they fucking continue on writing kick-ass shit in the '90s. We'll never know.
Yeah. I've thought about that before. Like, and I actually thought about, I kicked it around and putting on this one, but had some of the Blue Murder magic and the '89 White Snake magic come together, it might have been the epic we were waiting for,
Yeah.
because I love both albums. I
Yep.
think Blue Murder and Slip of the Tongue are kind of neck and neck, to be honest.
Yep.
Like, they're so, both of them are so good.
Yeah.
And the magic might have continued. I don't know. It would be
Did,
cool to see.
I heard this too, that like fuck, Sykes's record company was Geffen. Well, wasn't Whitesnake was on Geffen.
Yeah.
And the rumor was that they were like, fuck, we're not gonna push the Blue Murder album as much as we could. And the theory is that they were like, maybe that will drive Sykes back to Whitesnake.
Ooh, wow.
But my theory, just a theory, is that maybe Coverdale was like, hey, I'm your, because I'm still your golden boy, I'm still the
Yeah.
guy who has the 8 times platinum '87 album. You fucking realize where your bread is buttered, not with him, but with me. So, like you could kind
Yeah.
of maybe, I mean, shit. Like if John Bon Jovi in the late '80s tells your record label, "Hey, I'm not a big fan of your new signing," they're gonna be like, "Whatever you want, John. You just
Exactly.
fucking putting out Slippery When Wet in New Jersey, and whatever you say is what goes." So that's just my theory.
Nice. Good theory.
Okay. That brings us to the end of 10 things that we think about Whitesnake. We would love to hear in the comments. Well, maybe your thoughts on some of the conspiracy theories and some of the things we talked about with Whitesnake, and then let us know some shit that we missed. And with that, Ryan, it was awesome having you on. It's long overdue that we talk about Whitesnake. So thanks for being on, brother.
All right. Thank you very much. That was great.
I love Ryan's fucking endings are always the best. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Please go in the comments, give us some comments, like, subscribe, what the hell, ring the bell. In the description, you'll see Hair Metal Guru merch. You'll see the link for Hair Metal Mansion, which will be every Saturday from 6 to 8 Central Time on Rock 101 KLOL. And you have the opportunity to become a member. It costs a little bit, but you get early access to some of the videos. You get first response to comments. And hey, whatever you can do to support the channel, I just appreciate you being here. Until the next video comes out, my name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. Take care of yourselves.